Without a question, very volatile Thursday. A Thursday full of technical breakdowns. I'm looking forward to going here live on the public side with you all today because I think that it is an important day just to have some awareness about us. At the end of the day, regardless of what assumptions you have about markets, what assumptions you have about what is going to happen in the future, what we have learned above all is follow the technicals and stay on the right side. Someone else will tell us later what happened and explain it for us and break it down. And you'll be listening to some macro podcast, a month from now, 2 months from now, and someone's going to get on there and start like speaking and just be able to very well articulate all of the puzzle pieces that are happening. I mean, look, we like to put it all together. I think we do a pretty good job about that, but it's really complex. And the more we learn and the more we learn about markets, the more we realize how even more complex it is. At the end of the day, these little lines on a chart and keeping us on the right side is nothing else like it. We do have a potential major critical breakdown, and there's nothing sensational about the headline. Caution, critical breakdown. All of that is true. So we're going to look at that and we're just going to go ahead and try to pull it together. And I don't know why it's happening. So I of course want to get into Bitcoin with you. I want to get into Ethereum with you and crypto, but let's start over here very quickly. And do you remember over here? Just, this was like a moment when we were like, I don't know. Everyone is so bearish. I'm bearish. You're bearish. We're all bearish, but we have a technical breakout. So we got to close our eyes. The same thing happened on Bitcoin. The same exact thing happened on Bitcoin when we called the bull market breakout. It's pinned to the channel, the YouTube channel, in December of 2022. I called the bull market breakout, and nobody believed it. Now, am I saying today that this is the end of the bull market and it's about to roll over? No, not at all. I'm saying that we have a potential major critical breakdown in place right now. We've been watching this wedge. We were hoping that we would get a breakout to the upside here yesterday and be able to make a new all-time high over here. By the way, this came off of first. We saw Google come in, Alphabet. Some people call it Alphabet. Google came in and their earnings very well beat expectations. And then their guidance was extremely favorable. Broadcom same day, really, really nice beat. And the market sold off the next day. And then we came into yesterday's earnings. I think there's many important pieces to talk about here this morning. So I think among them is earnings. And then yesterday, Microsoft and Meta came in with earnings, and that's when the sell-off really began. Both of them selling off. Microsoft's Azure cloud or growth beginning to slow down. Market not really liking that. Don't forget, this market is priced to perfection. There was also the in this candle over here. Sorry about that. In this candle over here, there was the third largest buyer of NVIDIA's chips accountant walking away and saying they do not want to go ahead and sign their name to the numbers that are being floated by the company. And since then, that has started what seems to be a cascade. Now, it could be this. I think it has a lot to, for me, earnings, and particularly this earnings season over here was critically important. You needed to see these companies come in not only with big beats, but really, really strong guidance, number one. Also, don't remember, from where we are at this point in 2024 to here, we are outperforming seasonalities by a large margin. And we're coming into an election next week. Could the market right now simply be saying, you know what? We're like, seems like the market is extremely favorably bullish positioned over here, positioned up only. And you know what? It might be just prudent just to take some off the table over here. And we have an election coming up, an election that could easily be contested and could easily lead to some type of would it be unforeseen if there were to be some type of you all know what the situation is. No, I don't think so. Could it be that we're seeing right now the UK gilt market undergoing a shock, and the UK may need to come in at any moment with another emergency QE action by the Bank of England? That could very well be what is taking place right now and causing markets over here to be on the back foot. All of it could, I don't know what exactly markets are keying off of, but what I do know is that we have a potential major critical breakdowns in place. Let's take a look at it, and then we'll get into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the others. And yesterday we were looking at this wedge, and we said all eyes are on this wedge. Same thing on the S&P 500, and we just went ahead and drew this simple trend line. I was very clear in yesterday's session. Look, I don't know exactly, because they're not structural. These trend lines I'm drawing, they're discretionary. But let me put them in place over here. And then over here in the Nasdaq, I then said, all right, well, right below that trend line, we also have this bit of support to come into if we get the breakdown. We're trading below that right now. And if we close outside of this, below this, then it's a major technical breakdown. Major technical breakdown. And sometimes everyone starts looking for the exit at the same time. Selling begets selling. And that all of a sudden, you all know the story: staircase up, elevator down. Could easily escalate into something. I don't know that it will. Anytime we have a breakout to the upside or a breakdown to the downside, I am looking for where it's invalidated. So that's one of the two most important questions today, aside from what happens with Bitcoin, is if this is indeed confirmed on the close today as a breakdown, where does the invalidation occur? Right? That's what I'm looking at over here today. S&P 500, major breakdown in play today. You could see the wedge into the new all-time high. Nasdaq, it's a little bit of Dow theory when the indexes are making all-time highs, and then you have one index or two not making an all-time high. In this case, we had the S&P 500 making a new all-time high, while the Nasdaq put in so far a lower high. That's also concerning here. And you could see that during this wedge taking place, you could see that the buyers were not able to extend further each and every time. So it's definitely a warning sign. Dow, after making a new all-time high here, currently in pullback, has that put in a major breakdown? And I'm just taking like strong liberty here on my TA. Very strong liberty. When I look for structure, it's exact. There's nothing exact about this, but that's a breakdown in play. What about the Russell? Oh, the Russell is probably the Russell is holding some support over here. Now the Russell has obviously been lagging, well off all-time high, right? This is the time when the Russell potentially is expected to really break out strongly as Fed begins rate cuts. Not happening yet. I haven't written it off. I have this trend line down over here, which is below these last two supports. So we've seen this support come back and retested, and then a higher high has been retested. We're just waiting for the resumption. So Russell looks pretty okay over here so far. If we get a breakdown below this double step support and this trend line sell impulse, then the Russell would be expected to go into a deeper correction. Now, I look at this from different angles and different views, right? So MicroStrategy. So I'm going to come back to this in one moment. And by the way, Well, let me get to that in a minute. Let's look at Bitcoin. And like you would think that this looks pretty great, right? First of all, massive wedge breakout. Boom, sent it to new all-time highs. And then since March, well, this is from June, but since March, we were in this major consolidation. And once again, on the breakout, Bitcoin sent and looks pretty good. Looks pretty good, right? What about from this vantage point over here? We haven't been watching this, waiting for our breakout or breakdown. And then as soon as it happened, I said, if we get the breakout, the first thing I'm doing two things. My expectations are that we're going to put in a nice leg up. We've looked at potential price targets to the upside. Off the top of my head, we just have like two whole numbers. I'll show you in a second. But like into 80,000, into the whole number, 100,000. And so far, we've seen a breakout, a retest, resuming up. Haven't yet cleared the all-time high, right? And I said, if we get the breakout, although my expectations are for a bigger push to the upside, I'll watch for a breakdown, right? Because some of the most powerful moves in the markets come with liquidity grabs, false breakdowns, or breakouts. You should be familiar with this one over here, and it's a really clean example. And it was going back to the summer of 2023, and dollar broke down. A lot of people were like, forget about it, writing the dollar off. Like people went from like dollars going to the moon to like dollars going to zero. And on that breakdown, we're positioning ourselves for further weakness. And then we saw what happened. I like the daily chart over here. Let me show you the daily chart. And this is really breakdown, invalidated, back to neutral. We didn't ourselves go by impulse to over here on a break above the yellow. And it was a really strong lesson in learning that we were late. You can see the back to neutral, breakdown, back to neutral, right? There wasn't a breakdown retest. Retest failed, back to neutral. Didn't resume back down. But then there was a retest of that broken support, and it was confirmed into support. And this was the resumption up over here. And that's earlier, that's better, that's cleaner. So the first thing we're looking for on a breakout is where it's invalidated, where the breakdown occurs. So before the breakout, I had this line over here. And I said, we'll get more exact if we do indeed get a breakout. So let's take a look and see what we have right now. And so these are just some sketches. I tried to get the structure, but I did it very quickly on a live stream when I couldn't find that other chart over here. And I just want to go ahead and just like simple TA. That's connecting these two. Let's go. We got a steeper slope over here. I would like to hold that, right? So first of all, you have two lines over here. You have this first line that I'm highlighting, and then the outer line. And you can see from this view we were looking at for a while, like, do you see the lighter line over here that's highlighted right now? And then the lighter line down over here. These are each clones of this. And the lighter line, you can see it hit this wick. It hit this wick. If I come down to the daily time frame, you can see then it wicked into there again. And then you had a breakout, retest, came back in lower. See, look, this looks much better. You can see this support over here, the structural support being very, like, this is the breakout, retest, resumed up. I think that we want to, if this is a strong breakout and break away, and usually on a strong move, the bigger the breakout, the less shallow the retest. It's why when it comes to Bitcoin and crypto, we say that in a bull market, on a breakout to the upside, most of the time you don't even get a retest. It's Bitcoin and crypto. And is it a sign of weakness, potentially getting one? Maybe. Maybe we're watching. If we get a breakdown from this line over here, that would be the first sign that something's not right. So that's right now below 69,000, right? that would be my first sign. My second sign of confirmation would be over here, and that's below 60, like 64,500. If anything like that's happening, we'll get into it and we'll look a little closer. But when I'm looking at this, and I know this would not be popular to talk about. So, but I think right now, most people in crypto are like, the halving and Bitcoin's going to the moon. We just broke out of this massive consolidation. I certainly hope so. That would be fantastic. That would be great. As already noted, and there's no question about it, like we are already in a position of power, regardless of what happens next. We're in such a position of power. Nevertheless, we always want more, and we want more to the upside. We'll love it. But if it doesn't, no big deal. Why wouldn't it? Let's do what about the macro, Jordan? I'll get to that in 1 second. First, let's look at this. And I know that this is not going to be a popular discussion, or even like me pointing out the potential possibility of a double top. Well, it's in play right now. And until we break to a new all-time high and close above there, the double top is in play. Like, have we had any breakdowns occur thus far on Bitcoin? None at all. We're in the midst of a breakout to the upside. Nothing bearish about it. Are we losing momentum? Well, a tiny bit, right? And when I say a tiny bit, I'm going to revert to our positioning. So in a minute, I'll look at upside targets, the health that we're currently experiencing. Seasonalities, of course, we continue to be in October. We got this nice, beautiful structural breakout in place. We want to see more. But wait, Ethereum just entered short. Cardano is entering, has an enter short pending. And Solana is getting ready to close out a long. Is that bull market behavior that you would normally see as a breakout is assuming? It's not. That's mixed signals. We don't like that. So listen, I get many people are very we want this to happen on this timeline. So if we look at anything that's opposed to that view, I'm going to put my hands over my ears and go la 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 la. But that's not us. That's not what we do. We simply are here to grind it out and work hard and make sure we stay on the right side. We just had Bitcoin exit a long trade. That's no big deal though. On the 8-hour here on our BTC 107, we're very quick to take profits and lock it in. So that's not alarming. Is it a sign of loss of momentum? For right now, if we're able to hold that area of resistance that we were just looking at, this area right over here, and resume back up and take out that double top to the upside, we're long again. In a second, we're long again. So that's not concerning to me at all. We still got our bull CTM, bull market runs, still holding a long position. And rightfully so. We just broke out to the upside of a major consolidation pattern. Nothing concerning there as well. This is what's concerning to me, is Ethereum here is now entering on the short side. Yes, it could reverse up very quickly, but right now it's on the short side. And a tremendous job over here on CTMX 103A, keeping out of the long side and not biting. Even though the deviations here went positive, not taking the long side, rightfully so thus far. Then we have Cardano it's just Cardano. Cardano just now getting ready to potentially enter the long side. Solana here, hold on, sorry about that. So we have Cardano. What is this? 11% since February. What about since 2021? All right, it's pretty good. I'm going to follow what it says. And then Solana here is on the buy side as well, right? So it's getting ready to close out this long, which means that the momentum is fading a little bit. So that's just potential all right, Bitcoin technically is still looking very good, We're seeing CTM bull runs still long. That we see that, all right, we exited here, but we're very quick to exit. That's not alarming. What's alarming is the positioning that we're seeing taking place across the alts. And we have Cardano getting ready to enter potentially 7 hours from now on the short side. Ethereum just entered the short side, and Solana getting ready to close out a long. That doesn't seem to me to say that we're in the midst of a very strong move to the upside. So just some warning flags, and you know, no one wants to talk about the potential double. Dude, wouldn't it be ironic if we do live in a simulation that Michael Saylor's announcement of like a 41 billion raise out in the future to buy more Bitcoin was the mark of a local top? Would you be surprised if it were? No, I mean, he's always going to be buying tops forever, right? That's what he does. So there's nothing like that wouldn't not make sense. And we have some, these are experimental templates. I know they say CTM-X V2. They're not out to CTM yet. We're just continuing to forward test them and monitor them. So that's why I do it on the live streams. We don't, this is not, no one in CTM, I shouldn't say no one. Like people that are developing it obviously have access, but you know, it's still holding a long trade over here. Still got room to go over here after the raise. This is on the 1 hour, same thing over here. Open trade, 66%. It looks like it's trying to resume out of there right now. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. By the way, just let me check in over here quickly on the, like we were holding all long positions. Tesla stopped out again. So Tesla over here, you could see like back-to-back stop losses over here. Bing, bing, bing. And once again, entering long. So Tesla continues to just be grinding at it. But FNGU was holding yesterday almost 10% profit, now back in the red. FNGU are beast of beast on stocks. If you think that gains can only be made in crypto, you don't know what's going on with stocks and on the daily time frame. So Nvidia is still holding an open trade, but this was like 14% in profit. We're seeing signs of rolling over for sure right now on the stock market, and rightfully so, as we're seeing that breakdown take place. Sir Brandon was noting over here, if we don't hold 69,000, it will be interesting to see what happens. And you can see there's a lot of liquidity down here as well. You know, there's a lot of liquidity down over here. What are those levels? This is like, I would say 67, right? So into this area over here. So that would just be a retest, by the way. This would be like the first earliest sign of something's not right. That line we just put in together. But then we have more liquidity into here. This could easily get taken out. That liquidity could get taken out in this area up down to just above 65, 65 and a half. So this whole area is just liquidity rate waiting. We could see a liquidity grab into here and then send it easily. Or we could see selling beget selling if we were to get the breakdown and then run through that liquidity, and then selling could beget selling. And if we break down below 65, well, then that would be a major breakdown for us. We would be neutral back into the grind. And not only that, there's nothing saying that we couldn't test once again the lower end of that. But Jordan, it's the halving. The halving is, I mean, it's 2024. Anyone that follows Bitcoin, they may look at seasonalities, especially during an election year, no question about it. But if you remember, like back in, here's some seasonalities for you. And October has an October name. Like more often than not, it's very green. November and December are weird. They seem to be more often than not like double greens or double red. And people talk about election years. 2016 was an election year. But it was 2017 where they put in the top of the bull of all bulls was running. The bull of all bull was not running in 2016. It was, this is where the bull put in its magic. 2020 was an election year. The bull of all bulls was indeed running. Yes, it was right after the halving, and we were there. We were the ones running the show. We were on the live every day, right? Like our pulse on the market, showing you what was taking place in real time. Is that happening right now? Or I don't know. I really don't know. What about the macro, Jordan? What's going on with the macro that, like, forget the halving. What's going on with the macro? When I look at the macro, I say to myself, well, right now we're in a period of time that reminds me, by the way, gold now hitting our first target over here. And it would now be a good time for, a pullback on gold. I would not be surprised at all at this particular point in time. This is the first time since our breakout of the cup and handle, the first time that I've even mentioned anything about a pullback. And maybe now is the time. Would I be surprised if gold goes to 3,000 or higher? No, I would not. But this is now a time when I could say, all right, look, maybe. And if you want to get focus on the technicals and look, you could say that would be the first sign of a double black diamond breakdown if that were to occur. And then that could potentially signal a move back into the conservative line. So I wouldn't be surprised. Is that probably your best bet, fading gold? Not me. I would not be interested whatsoever. I'm not interested whatsoever. We're looking here, by the way, at the same time. And for those that were not here, because we do private sessions every day, we were all over as the Fed began cutting the sell-off in bonds. And you can see this is called an underbelly breakout. And then it hit the black diamond, breakout retest, came into the conservative line and broke above it, retesting it. And you can see it hasn't yet resumed above, but very, very much all over it without question. Put a lot of pieces together over here. Do I think that the sell-off today has anything to do with the unemployment or the core PCE numbers? I personally do not. And I think it's more along the lines of the three things that I presented first. As far as core PCE, though, flat Fed's favorite indicator, hotter than expected. You could see 2.7 versus 2.6 expected. I mean, yes, look, I don't know, eventually, as right now, as central banks move towards easing with risk assets at all-time highs, and inflation high, my expectation is that inflation is going to get much hotter. Only I'm not trying to time that. And I'm not I think after the Fed eventually moves towards returning to outright QE, and we're not close to there, I don't think, by any means. When that happens, after that happens, I think we take out the July 2022 print of 9.1%. Between now and then, I don't know from where we are right now, if we go lower, if we go higher. This is just kind of inflation is elevated when they begin their easing. That's the concern over here. All right. So jumping back over here and taking a look at something that I think is important, and that is Ethereum, Bitcoin. And we saw right now, by the way, that, well, Bitcoin is just, it's exiting along on the swing traders time frame. Bull market run still long. Not even an early warning breakdown has occurred. We're in the midst of a breakout, and Ethereum's entering on the short side. Obviously, Ethereum continues to show that weakness versus Bitcoin. When does it end? A lot of people are wondering. I want to come back to this area over here because what I think happens next, right? And we for the last 2 years, this is what I've been outlining happens. Is that we just talked about like the return to outright QE. And by the way, that's when the bull of all bull runs. That's when we're going to see Bitcoin do Bitcoin things, when monetary policy aligns. But Jordan, you just said that the central banks worldwide are returning to easing. Yep. Just in the same way, the tapering of QE was beginning to tighten, the rate cuts are beginning to ease. But we're not into outright easing at this particular point in time. And likely it's going to be a while before we're back to that. What likely happens next is the same thing that happened last cycle. Right after the cuts began, the next thing that happened was the Fed needed to halt quantitative tightening. And we're getting closer to when the Fed is going to need to stop quantitative tightening. And when they do that, likely what happens is at the same time, they will begin expanding their balance sheet, right? QE in disguise. And when that happens, I do believe risk will soar again. However, when that happens, likely equities are the first ones to feel the love and really begin tilting. And Bitcoin and crypto, they'll follow sometime after that. Last time this happened, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they made lower lows prior to then beginning to ascend higher. So if you look at when that happened, that was September 2020. September 2020 is when you saw the Fed stop QT and begin to start organic balance sheet expansion. And you could see that Bitcoin still made another push against Ethereum. Oh, sorry about that. But shortly thereafter, when Bitcoin and Ethereum found their footing, that is when we saw Ethereum begin to outperform Bitcoin. I think the same thing occurs this time on both accounts. I think the next play out of the Fed is to extend the cycle further. They're not in a rush to go ahead and debase the currency in a massive push. They only do that when they have no other choice. We're not there. Is the Bank of England there? No. Are they about to potentially act again? Maybe. We're watching for that. What the Fed's next move is going to be is to stop quantitative tightening and likely begin balance sheet expansion again. When they do that, they could pause it. They could just pause the balance sheet. They don't have to return to expanding it. And they could pause it for some time before they begin expanding it. That's what they would prefer to do because that extends the cycle out even further. That's their goal, to extend. Inflation's already running hot. It's doing its job with all the debt. They're not in a look to prolong that. They're not in a look to rush that. They're looking to prolong it. So likely the next move out of the Fed it is going to be to stop QT. After they stop QT, either it's going to be paused for some time or they're going to begin that balance sheet. Sometime around that time, Ethereum will then begin to outperform Bitcoin. No, the proof of stake did not ruin Bitcoin. Yes, the proof of stake ultimately ruins Ethereum, but that is sometime far out into the future. I don't see Banana Zone at all coming. And you all know that because when Banana Zone is coming, I'm like going bananas, and I'm not seeing that happening right now. So when Banana Zone is happening, we will be like, this is what Altseason looks like. This is not what Altseason looks like. You've heard from the same people for the past 2 years that Altseason is coming. It's not what Altseason looks like. It's not the environment for Altseason. When it happens, I hope that we're there. I hope that we're there. Not do I hope that we're there from a positioning standpoint. I know that we will be there from a positioning standpoint. We're no matter what, we trade momentum. So we're always on the right side of the market. but I hope I'm there from just that like discretionary mental standpoint and just like feeling the love. I don't think we're close to that at this particular moment. So as far as targets on the upside and near-term targets, that's something that we haven't looked at and that we should look at. And let's say that we take out this double top over here. And I mean, most double tops don't stand, you know? But as it is, all like, is it concerning that we didn't blow through here? I think so, a little bit. And like you could see the liquidity that was up there. You would, I mean, we didn't we didn't blow through it, and you want to see a blow through it. Could we be setting up for a grab into this area that we talked about and then send it? For sure. If we come into this line where we are now and hold and come up, that's even stronger. I hope that happens. We'll be long in a second. We will be getting long in a second if that were to occur. So if we do take out the top over here and continue higher, as far as upside targets, let's take a look. And by the way, extremely healthy. We've came in after break. In the past, every time we've broken the 0.786 retracement fib, we have gone bananas. We have gone bananas. This is the talk about things that are different. This is the first time that we broke the new all-time high before the halving. And it's the first time we have not gone bananas after breaking above. It's different. It doesn't mean that we're not going to see some upside extension, but it is different. And where's that view? I just had it, right? I was just showing you the chart I wanted to show to look at upside targets. There we go. So if we break the double top, first area is over here. Like I said, right around $80,000. It's upward sloping, so the longer it takes us to get there, like if it were to happen into December, it could be, somewhere between 82 and 84. If it happens sooner, we're looking between 79 and 81. This is the target area that I'm looking for if we're able to break above and put in that next leg up that we're looking for on the breakout of this consolidation. But on the breakout of consolidation, before we broke out, we said if we break out, expectations are for that higher leg up, but we're looking for an invalidation. That's what we're doing right now. We're looking for an invalidation. If we break out above this area, look, we're looking at seasonality. This is a good moment, potentially a good moment. Back-to-back green months, back-to-back green months. October, November, December, October, November, December, October, November, December. It's happened many times. And if we were to get a big move over here, because, if you compound over here over 3 months, 20%, 15%, 20%, 30%, a 40% move, that's nothing. Could we be looking at into December somewhere around 100K Bitcoin? That's for sure. That's our expectation on an upside breakout to the upside. So this is first target area, second target area, and you still have resistance here, structural resistance in between. So those are some, we don't know what happens with the election. A red sweep and an uncontested election, that might be very favorable for markets. If we get, a blue control of the House, red in the Senate, and red in the executive branch, that's probably like not so euphoric, but like status quo. If we get a contested election and then we start seeing violence and then we start seeing organized destruction, things could go bad very quickly. That's not a good look for the United States if something like that were to occur. And we've seen just about everything occur over this past year that would definitely, no one would be surprised if it were to occur. if that's happening, that would not be a good thing. If Harris wins the presidency, I'm not sure if it's good or bad for markets. So I'm not sure. I don't think that right now markets are priced for Trump, and if Harris wins, I think that Republicans will get the Senate, and I don't think it's like such a bad thing for markets personally. For other issues, maybe, but not really for markets. We're talking about markets here. All right, friends and family. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thanks for being here to participate, to share the love. I hope you enjoyed this session. I know that I did. Oh, I didn't talk about probably the most important thing. Well, for right now, as we're looking at these technical breakdowns, right? So let's keep it simple. We're in the midst of a potential technical breakdown. I'll get exact too. Like, ding one. Do you see all the touches? If we close above here, above this trend line over here, which is, call it 20,200, right? Above there, wherever that looks like on it. You got the top wick over there this morning. You got to close above there, 20,210. Then we're back to neutral. Not neutral in as far as that would be we want that to happen to invalidate a cascade down. Okay? We want that to happen. We still need to reclaim this one over here. And look at both of these when we went to the 2-hour time frame. So cool. I love it. I hope you do too. Breakdown, retest, resumption. Breakdown, retest. You see the wick into it, resumption. Those are the two major levels we need to regain. Those were breakdowns. To make repairs, we need to regain that. So close above 20,210, and then we need to close above, and this is going to be sloping upwards. But for today, it would be 20,420. I think higher. Let's keep the whole numbers, 20,450. And I'm moving above over here, this on the 2-hour, but the 2 hours is a pretty high time frame. We got a lot of people on much lower time frames. I hang out on the 7-minute time frame intraday, and don't laugh, a lot of people hang out on the 30-second, and they know exactly what they're doing. But all right, everyone. God bless you all. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you all tomorrow.